A young kid by the name of Tomas Garces was having a tough time getting used to his first year of high school. He started hanging out on the streets with the wrong people, and after some bad choices, he was kicked out of high school and ended up in what is called the Guidance Center.
He was going through some problems. He actually went to the Guidance Center for some little things that some big things, because they don't send you there for little things. He was starting to go into a real bad path.
It was athletics, wrestling, that turned this young man's life around for the better.
Started hanging around with Coach Galapa, and that pretty much made him get more mature, a lot more quicker, and just made him become a better person.
For Tomas Garces, 2001 was his sophomore year, and his first season of wrestling. He quickly made a name for himself on the mat.
You could always depend on him coming through. I mean, and you could never doubt him if he was hurt or laying on the mat. He always got up and finished the match. Just very, very dedicated, very strong, took pride in his conditioning.
Tomas excelled at the sport, qualifying for regionals and state as a sophomore. The future in wrestling for Tomas was bright.
Best because he's wrestled this guy, this guy, and this guy. There he is. Tommy got the win.
In March of 2003, the United States invaded Iraq, and in less than 3 weeks, they took over the country. That year was Tomas Garces' final season as a Panther wrestler. He returned to regionals, and his illustrious career would eventually come to an end. He was part of a team that won 3 district titles and started a streak of 8 district championships. Tomas was a 2-time district champion, 3-time regional qualifier, and went to state twice. His wrestling record was an incredible 95 wins, 17 losses. Wrestling changed Tomas from a life of getting in trouble on the streets to winning titles and traveling around the state to compete in some of the sport's biggest events. He decided he wanted to be involved in wrestling forever, which meant going to college, getting his degree, and becoming a coach back at Weslaco High School.
His senior year, he would tell me that he liked wrestling. He wanted to teach others what he knew, what he picked up from Coach Galapa, the other coaches that were with him. And it was something that he liked. When he was in the senior year, he would kind of show the upcoming JV the different wrestling techniques, different stuff, and it was something that he just came to him and said, I want to do that.
Whenever someone says they want to go into coaching, I also tell them, I go, you got to realize the hours and the work that's involved in it to be successful. I mean, it's one thing to go into it, but it's another thing to dedicate yourself to try to be as good as you can be and get the people that you coach as good as they can be. That takes the time and effort, and that's the strain. And I mean, and that's, and I told him, I said, just, if you're going to do that, that's fine. But then again, everything he did was 110%. So I have no doubt in my mind he would have been a very successful coach.
During his senior year, Tomas also decided to join the National Guard. He would use the money to pay for college. With his parents' permission, he signed up at 17 years of age. His family thought it was a great idea. They never thought that he would be involved with the war in Iraq.
Through the National Guard, from what we knew, it was just going to be pretty much here. And that, like you said, it wasn't, the war wasn't fully blown like the way it is right now. So we never thought that he was going to head over there, but then he got his duties to report to El Paso.
By December of 2003, just 7 months out of high school, Tomas and the 1836 Transportation Company out of Weslaco were headed to Iraq. By 2004, the war in Iraq grew out of control. Insurgents were taking over cities like Fallujah. There were attacks against civilians and U.S. forces. In one case, military contractors from Blackwater were captured and killed. No place in Iraq was considered safe. For the 1836 Transportation Company, their missions were just as dangerous. They would have to transport equipment throughout the combat zone. In July of that year, Tomas, who was already a hero for his accomplishments on the mat as a wrestler, became a hero on the battlefields of Iraq when his convoy was ambushed.
The guy that was actually in the 50 cal, he was in a truck. The guy that was in the 50 cal, his machine gun locked. So he had his gun that he loved, the saw, and he just got out of the truck and started pretty much doing cover fire for the guy, and not even taking into consideration that he might get shot or something, just to protect the guy, to make sure that he could get the gun unjammed. They could just see the bullets flying by, but he said that I guess adrenaline, stuff like that, just kicked in, and saw his buddy, his brother, in a bad situation, so got out of the truck. Even though they weren't supposed to jump out like that, he just got out of the truck and covered for him, pretty much.
Tomas was awarded one of the highest honors given out by the military, the Bronze Star. Although Tomas never thought joining the National Guard would take him to war, he was proud to be serving his country.
When he came down for his R&R, he would kind of go about the different things that they would do over there, and he was like, man, I'm doing this for our country, for you guys. And I was like, hey, thanks. That's the only thing that I told him. Hey, thanks. Just be very careful, but thanks.
Attacks against U.S. forces would continue to escalate that year. One of the prime targets, convoys. Insurgents would use homemade bombs or an improvised explosive device, better known as IEDs, for these attacks. On September 6, Tomas was in the lead vehicle of a convoy, manning a 50 caliber machine gun.
There was a divide between the highway or something like that, and one of the insurgents saw them passing by and just detonated the IED, and the last thing that he said was, "I'm hit."
Tomas died from the blast at only 19 years of age. He became the first member of the Texas Army National Guard to lose his life in combat since World War II.
It still feels like it happened yesterday. Still hoping, no, it's never gonna happen, but hoping that he just walks in through the front door. But I mean, kind of have to just be strong and continue with our lives. Just not forgetting him.
And Tomas is not forgotten. Just a few days after his death, a special ceremony was held for him before a Panthers football game. His younger brother ran out onto the field carrying the American flag. The National Guard Armory here in Weslaco was rededicated in memory of Sergeant Tomas Garces in a ceremony in 2005. The building still has a picture of Garces in the gym, and a memorial stands in his honor. And every first Saturday in January, Weslaco High School honors his memory with the Tomas Garces Wrestling Tournament. Tomas is remembered by his family, his friends, and his community. He may have been a great coach, we will never know. This we do. He was an American hero.